So my name is Anna Lynch, and I'm part of the Cambridge Mental Health Support Team, and I work as an education mental health practitioner. My background before doing this job is I worked as a primary school teacher and then an assistant psychologist. And originally, I was thinking about going on to do educational psychology and the doctorate, and I was looking for a job kind of to do between that and then actually started doing the job, did the training, and I'm really happy. So I'm just sort of staying as I am actually. Yeah, I really like doing it, love the team, and yeah, it's great. The route I initially took was I was just kind of looking on NHS jobs, seeing what there was out there based on kind of my background, and I saw this role and I'd never heard of it before. I thought that's a really interesting role, so I did a bit of research. I read kind of the green paper about transforming kind of children and young people's mental health provision, and I was just really intrigued to see how early intervention would work and how I could be, and I was really keen to be a part of that, having kind of worked in schools before. So I just applied through NHS jobs and kind of got in through that way. Um, Favorite part of the job? Gosh, there's so many, but probably working with a good team, but also seeing progress. I think when you've got like a young person or a parent who comes and they just feel at their wits' end, or they just feel that they're stuck, or they've had help before and haven't got anywhere, and then working with them, seeing that progress, and then you see them at the end, the difference is sometimes, not every time, sometimes you have somewhere it's minimal progress, but somewhere you really do kind of change their life is just unbelievable. And it's like, I don't think you can do much better than that. It's so nice. And then biggest challenges, probably, I think there's a couple of different ones depending, but when I was doing my training year, trying to manage uni, caseload, work, life, that probably was kind of the hardest bit, like work-life balance. In terms of now, I guess it would be tends to be kind of work with schools. So when we get like schools come back in September, you often get a lot of referrals come in. So it's kind of managing caseload, schools wanting a lot of whole school approach stuff. So making sure you've got time to do that properly. So I think probably like time management would be the biggest challenge. And also I guess if you have like a client who comes up and has like a safeguarding issue, that can be quite challenging managing that. But that's why you do have supervision and you do have kind of all your training to make sure that if that does come up, when that does come up, you can manage and support them properly. Yeah. So in terms of advice and kind of what I wish I knew, I guess maybe knowing more about the role. So do your research on the role, what it is that EMHPs do. And it's been out for kind of a little while now. So there is research out there and you can have a look. And also if you know kind of the university providers that are doing the EMHP kind of academic side, you can get a heads up and see what's on the reading list, start doing reading, finding out maybe about CBT, because a lot of our interventions are CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy informed as well. I think what I wish I'd known before maybe was actually quite how demanding the training year and the caseload would be, because the first part of it's fine, but as you get on kind of the latter half of the year, especially the final quarter, you've got almost a full caseload, but you've still got assignments, you've still got work. So trying to kind of manage that. But it's really important that you kind of use supervision, you take time for yourself, and also kind of forward planning really does help as well. So yeah, as much research as you can, especially about the interventions that we do. And yeah, just kind of being organised and keeping on top of your time, and let people know if you're struggling as well, because that's what they're there for, to help you as well. Yeah, definitely. I think anything that you have done that either works, because we work with quite a few different, so we obviously work with children and young people from kind of the whole school age up to sort of 19. So if you've worked with children and young people, that's a big help. If you've worked with schools or in schools, that's going to be really beneficial for the whole school approach side, and also doing a school training. If you've done any work with mental health, that's going to be really helpful, or safeguarding. So I feel like actually you can come from quite a lot of different backgrounds, and even having kind of transferable skills like teamwork, presentation skills, academic side of work, and we also do we use routine outcome measures, or we call them ROMs, like questionnaires, as part of our kind of therapy as well. So if you've got a background, maybe assistant psychologist, or you've done sort of data analyst, like that will help as well. So I feel there's a lot of skills that you could kind of bring in, and you might be able to bring in several skills. So it's quite a varied role. So I feel like a lot of people will be able to bring things to the role from previous work or from jobs as well. Yeah, definitely. So ideally, we would always want to have kind of all parts of that triangle. So you want to have the family, the school, and obviously the young person, and then ourselves as well. I have found working with young people and children that actually it's more effective the more kind of parties that are involved. But sometimes that doesn't always happen. The child might have a kind of a difficult relationship with the parents. So we then, in that case, what we try and do is find maybe another adult or a sort of a school member. We sometimes have school staff who've taken on more of a mentor role. So when we finish our work, we know that they're kind of in safe hands and they've got another staff member who's keeping an eye out. Generally, across all the schools, they're pretty good with actually doing the research, keeping an eye out on the child. They've usually got a good background of the family as well. And obviously, in primary school, we pretty much do all parent-led work anyway, so the parents are very involved for that. Where you'd see less parent involvement is when we do the young person sort of teenage work, especially 16 to 19. However, again, if a young person needs more support at home, we do like to bring in the parent as well, particularly at the final follow-up session, because that's when they're going to be going on and your support's ending. So we do really encourage that, and they are generally all really quite good at working together. And whether it's a parent or whether it's a school, or ideally both, that really does help when we've got all parts playing together. But you can still see good progress even if you've only got kind of the school supportive parent life. It's maybe some difficulties there for young people, but yeah. So with schools, they're really good. So they usually let us know kind of what is needed. So whether it's for an individual client, for a child or a student, or actually what comes out a lot is trends. So for example, I had a school that had some children who sort of showing signs of self-harm. So we looked at what psychoeducation we could do and support for that to kind of reach a large range of students. In sort of a psychoeducation and preventative way as well. So schools are really, really good. We also have termly meetings with schools, so we'll go through everything about current clients, upcoming clients, any whole school approach work that's needed, anything they've liked from the previous term, any goals they want going forward. But in addition to the kind of more formal meetings, we also do pretty regular check-ins, probably at least once a month, usually a few times. So we're emailing back and forth. So we're regularly in communication. And it is definitely a two-way street. If they came with something that was too high for us to be able to do, we'd have to consider signposting or advice. But if it's within our remit, then definitely we'll work with the school collaboratively. And we're actually going to a Freshers Fair event to launch the mental health support team in one of my colleges in about a month's time. So that's quite exciting that we're getting to do that. And the theme is empower. So it's all about empowered to look after your mental health. So yeah, we do get involved as much as we can, and the schools are really good with working with us to do that and making sure that they're giving us kind of children, young people who are appropriate for what we can work with. And then we can have consultations and signposting if we need a bit more support. Yeah. So I started my training year last January, a couple of months before the pandemic was about to hit. Obviously, we didn't know that. And so before I could even get into schools or have clients, the pandemic hit. So essentially, all of my therapy has been via Microsoft Teams. We're starting now to get ready for going back in September. Now things are a little safer to go in. So it'll be the first time I'll be doing kind of in-person therapy, which is going to be quite strange. But yeah, it's the pandemic had a huge impact. When doing the academic training, that was all designed for it to be able to deliver in person. All the materials, the therapeutic manuals, they weren't designed for online screen sharing, so we had to adapt all of that and learn how to do that. And also we had some issues as well with clients who didn't have maybe access to internet or technology. So that was a barrier as well. So we've had to do some phone sessions. We've also had to make sure clients have a confidential space, which at home, sometimes they don't have a confidential space. So then we've had to liaise with schools to get schools to have a set room that's safe for them. They go in with all the PPE and then we can have a session remotely that way as well. So it has had a huge impact, and it did have a lot of challenges in the beginning, but I think we've kind of got used to it now. We've got into the flow. So now I'm going to have to get used to going back in and actually doing the job as was intended in September. Yeah. I think as an EMHP, you get a really nice mix. So you get a lot of direct client-facing work, and you also get a lot of work with schools and a lot of consultations, but you also get supported within the mental health support team. So if a child comes through or something comes out and their needs are a little bit too high, you can then speak with your supervisor who might be able to take them on as a client themselves, or it might be a conversation possibly with a clinical lead if maybe the needs are a little bit higher, or if that point it exceeded it, we would meet with the young person and discuss what's the best option for them for signposting. So I feel that EMHPs probably have more direct kind of one-on-one client work than you would do kind of within the mental health support team as, say, a clinical lead or a senior clinician. However, you do kind of get to hear their feedback on how things work, and also it's really nice if you have had a client come through and it has been a little bit more they've needed a little bit more support than you can offer, than to see them make progress with your supervisor, for example, which is really, really nice. And we do liaise with other professionals externally as well. I have spoken with a clinical psychologist with one student who came through who needed more support that way. I've spoken with sort of a group therapy centre as well, IAPT, for example. So we do liaise with other professionals as well, even within the role. But yeah, it's nice to have that balance and know that actually when it exceeds what you can offer, the young person's not going to be left and sent back. You can support them, but through the team or through wider professionals as well. I think as an education mental health practitioner, you do get very comfortable in your little mental health support team, and you become a little bit like a bubble where you know your day to day, having your supervision, you're checking in with each other. And actually, we've had things come up where like, oh, I wonder what other mental health support teams, like this issue must have come up, or we've got a lot of anxious parents. I wonder what intervention they're using. So we've started to branch out and kind of connect with other mental health support teams. I've been using the like Future Learn sort of platform where a lot of other mental health support teams are, to reach out to different people. And we recently had children coming through with anxiety, so they would come to us, but actually we found out body image was the underlying cause. And actually we didn't get a lot of training in body image specifically. We have with anxiety, but it's how are we tailoring it to body image. So I thought, I'm sure we can't be the only mental health support team that this has kind of come up with. So I've reached out to a few different people, and I'm currently doing some sort of work with PhD student from kind of Queen's University London, and she has been reaching out to other mental health support teams as well. And we've kind of been liaising and communicating about best support, and we've found that actually for us with this particular issue, we're going to adapt the Dove Confident Me package, and we're doing that together. So reaching out is really, really useful. And also I think for part of the Psychological Professions Network, that's part of the reason I joined, to reach out to more EMHPs and mental health support teams, find out what they're doing, sharing good practice, and yeah, just getting better, I guess, and helping each other out, because chances are if it's coming up as an issue in one area, it is going to be in some areas. So why reinvent the wheel if someone's got something that works, or share ideas? Yeah, definitely. Obviously, self-care will be different for everyone. So I've got friends who, for them, after they've had a hard day, going out for a long walk, cooking a nice meal, running a bath, that for them is self-care. I mean, for me, that those things are nice as well, but I'm more of a kind of family and friend person, so I need a really good support network. So for me, if I've had a difficult day, I'll speak with either a colleague or a supervisor. If it's just you want to kind of just have a distraction, I might call friends who we've got for dinner, or listen to music, for example. So I think obviously as well, getting enough sleep eating well as well is really useful. But yeah, just not being afraid to articulate if you are struggling, because there will be times when you do, or when you've had a day, if you've had a lot of young people maybe who've had quite low mood, sometimes that can catch and you thought, oh, I do feel quite low today. So actually being able to reflect on that, take it to supervision, speak with people, and just not trying to think you've got to put on a brave face, because we're a human. Like we do feel that way. And yeah, looking after yourself is really, really important in whatever way that works for you. But for me, family and friends, supervision and reflection are probably the main areas I use as self-care as an EMHP. So with the regional kind of EMHP network, I really hope that it's a place where people feel safe to share ideas or problems, and for people to kind of help each other and just share good practice, really. Actually, it could be a platform as well for noticing trends and actually possible areas of further either development or scope for expanding what it is we do. I'm hoping that kind of going forward, that for kind of the future of the role will just keep developing with what's coming out. And whilst we have our training in our set areas, I'm hopeful that we'll continue to get CPD. I know we're going to be getting professional registration opening up soon, which is really, really exciting. To have that and access to further development and further networking. And yeah, I just really hope that people are open-minded and share good practice and are willing to kind of just keep pushing this forward and see where it can go, because we're in such a unique position to be able to get in there so early for children and young people when they start to have mental health kind of difficulties, and to know that if you've got the right support, that can prevent kind of later on further difficulties, or children and kind of young people becoming more kind of reluctant to seek help if we've had kind of a bad experience. So yeah, I'm just really, really keen on this role, just going as far as it can go and not stagnating, really, just continuing to develop support, listen to what young people and children need, listen to what schools need, and try and meet those needs within the framework of what we can do, or get more training if we need more training. Yeah. As an EMHP, I think initially I wasn't really sure if I was doing the job as it's supposed to be, because it was such a new role and I hadn't shadowed anyone doing my role. So you are very much, the ground was like new territory. But I think you have to obviously take your training, but also personalize yourself to each client, because every child and young person, every parent, every school is so different. And not being afraid to kind of use yourself, and to use your team, and to use what that young person, what that child needs, and be willing to be flexible, and to adapt. And you can make honestly such a huge, huge difference. So I think, yeah, it's, whilst it might seem like a small little role, you're having such a big difference on the ground. And when I sometimes hear from schools later on who've caught up with me about former clients, maybe a few months down the line, and they're doing really well, it just like, oh, I'm doing a good job here. It is a really important role, and it's a very new role, but it's got a lot of promise. So yeah, I would encourage anybody who's passionate about helping children and young people, wanting to kind of be preventative mental health support, but also helping schools as well, just kind of make mental health priority and know what to do as well, is, yeah, definitely it's the job for you. Yeah.